Hey, it's Vance here from Aussie RC Playground, and welcome to part 2 of my interview with the founder of ARRMA, Jason Dearden. Okay, now if you're here watching this and you haven't seen part 1, I highly recommend you check out the video description. I'll have a link in there to that video. Please go watch that first. It'll help you understand what this entire series is about and kind of help put all of this into context for you. So in part 1, we got a bit of an introductory into the ARRMA brand and where it came from and how it started. We also talked about the taglines and what they mean. And we started scratching the surface a little bit and getting a bit of an insight into some of ARRMA's history and some of its challenges. In this episode, we're going to be cranking up the heat a little bit and we're going to be talking about the lawsuit from a rival brand. We're also going to be talking about the transition from Hobbyco to Horizon. And of course, I'll throw in a couple of extra questions in there as well, just to keep things spicy. So sit back and enjoy part 2 of this interview. And of course, if you did like it, please be sure to hit that thumbs up button. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new. And be sure to check out the video description for the video link to part 1, as well as all the questions that I'll be asking in this video along with timestamps. I'm going to roll tape now. I'll let you guys sit back and watch part 2 of this interview. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll be speaking to you all next time. Now, getting a little bit deeper into this, the last 12 to 18 months has been a little bit turbulent for ARRMA as well. You're still not in the clear just yet. You had a rival brand suing ARRMA/Hobbyco. Hobbyco then filed for bankruptcy, which led to its inevitable death. ARRMA, among several other brands under the Hobbyco umbrella, was sort of in limbo for a bit until Horizon came in and took over. Can you summarize how the last 12 to 18 months has impacted ARRMA, the brand, and or the products?
Yeah, it's been a challenging time. Most of it happening over in the US, and obviously we're here in the UK. So the patent thing, I'm not a lawyer, so I really can't understand how some patents are granted, particularly, I mean, the US patent law seems to be quite different to sort of Europe and such like.
Yeah.
And you know, I have opinions on that, but I'm not going to express them here. And my opinions are my opinions. They're not those of Horizon or anybody else. I just want to make clear.
Yeah.
So that whole saga was rather confusing. You know, inboard suspension and, you know, the steering designs and stuff like that we've used have been in real cars since the 70s and been on many other RC cars. So I like I say, I'm confused by that whole saga. But it was very painful for a lot of people. It cost a lot of money trying to defend the situation. Anyway, that's behind us. That's dead and buried with the old companies. Those products aren't on the market anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and they didn't come across to, well, they were purged from our offering in the North American market under Hobbyco, and nothing's come across. You know, it was all resolved before Horizon took over.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bankruptcy thing, that was another thing. We thought we were in the clear, and then the bankruptcy thing kicked off. Didn't see that coming. A little bit surprised by that. But frankly, when we talked as a team here, we realised that you know we had a good set of people doing a good job, and we felt that somebody would see the value in that and they would pick us up. And Horizon, to their credit, they did a really good job of stepping in. And frankly, I think Horizon are the best people that could have bought the brand from an ARRMA perspective and from an ARRMA
Definitely
fans
agree
perspective.
with that. Yeah, definitely agree with that.
Yeah, they have a lot of reach. They have a lot of reach in, you know, distribution. They have good distribution around the world. They understand the product. They understand what we bring to the table in terms of design and testing and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, I think that we're in a really good place now. I think, and yeah, there was a period of bad supply last year where obviously factories needed to work out who they were now selling to, and there was a lot of projects that we were working on got put in limbo because we couldn't go forward with the tooling and we couldn't proceed forward with that. So yeah, it was a challenging year, but also a very successful year in terms of, the 3Ss came out and were massive success, and the Typhons exceeded expectations, and the Big Rock people love. So very, very mixed year, very, very up and down kind of year.
Oh, it was indeed. No doubt about that. But I'm glad that you've actually come out at the other end, and obviously things are looking up. You've got, like you said, you've got the 3S products out on the market, and I'm sure you'll be working on some more products behind the scenes,
Oh yeah.
and updating the current ones as well. So we'll touch on that a little bit later on.
Okay, all right.
But I think you may have already covered this, because this was another viewer question. Did you mention the outcome of the lawsuit? What was is that just dissolved once the takeover happened, or what happened there?
Yeah, the lawsuit was against two companies that no longer exist,
Yeah.
and companies that were trading in a contested product. Those products aren't traded in North America anymore, and those companies don't exist. So
it's dead.
Effectively, they got what they wanted. That product's off the market now. We could sit here and debate whether that's good for the RC consumer and whether that's good for the market and all those kind of stuff. But I don't think we need to have that as a public debate. Perhaps you and I could have a chat about that over a beer.
No. I mean, look, my only gripe with that whole inboard suspension thing is that, okay, you have a company that has a patent on that particular design, which is not theirs, by the way. That design, as you said, has been used for decades in the world of motorsport. Also, other RC companies implemented that design in their RCs, but because that particular company has that patent, they can stop everybody else from using that particular design. My only problem with that is that they're also stopping the development of the design, because they themselves are not improving or changing anything in that design.
Yeah.
So it's kind of locked in this time warp where nobody else is allowed to touch it, and you can't evolve something that could be used in various different products in different platforms. It just stops.
Yeah, we when we developed the Nero, we looked at. The guy that developed that, for what the main development on that, he's got a motorsports engineering degree. He learnt about all these different suspension systems at university, how it affects the dynamics of the vehicle. This is known stuff. This is textbook stuff. This is what they teach at university.
Yeah.
We brought that, and then we looked at what was on the market, from the Tamiya Formula One with the inboard suspension, from the Schumacher with the inboard suspension, from the technology with the inboard suspension, and then obviously the company that had a problem with it. We looked at textbook, we looked at all those different things, and we developed a product that was completely unique. We're not a Chinese copy company. We have engineers engineering product.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's an episode that's behind us. There's patents. Is
the Nero platform? Obviously that product's gone, but is the Nero name, at least, is that still going to revive in some other form, or is that completely done? That entire car is gone.
I don't know, Baz. That's for the lawyers. To be honest, I think we've moved on from that. We can make a good product without needing to go there.
Yeah, fair enough. No, that's fine. I was just thought maybe because you obviously, you've got the twin vertical plate design with the inboard suspension, but is there any way of changing that to an upright suspension?
We looked at that, and basically because of how integral the designs are, the bulkheads and you pretty much tool up a new car, and then you tool up a new car, and it's going to look very similar to what we've already got in the 6S platform. So
the whole idea was to make that one sort of stand out from the rest.
Yeah, we wanted to make a technological, showpiece. Really, it had locking differentials. That we've got patents on those locking differentials, and we added a lot of technology into that car. It doesn't mean that we can't make advanced cars in the future. We will, but it just won't be of that type.
Yep, no, fair enough. And what about, this is also a viewer question. This is in regards to the parts of the Nero, and we will leave the Nero alone after this, because I know we've been talking about it for a little while. What about parts for the Nero platform? Is there still, because obviously there is a strong following for the car, and those people are worried about parts and how hard they'll become to find in the future. So what's the usual scenario of about when, when a platform like this gets discontinued? How long are parts going to be available for?
Normally, we would keep parts in stock for 2 years after a platform is retired. However, any of the contested parts for North America had to be destroyed. So in the North American market, any of the parts that were contested needed to be destroyed. So North America might struggle to get parts of the contested parts. I mean, a TVP, the actual chassis plate is not a contested part, but anything to do with the suspension and the steering and those things are probably not in any warehouse anymore in North America. That doesn't apply to the rest of the world, so you might be able to find parts in Europe and your part of the world. That will be down to what the distributors bought and such like. So I think a lot of people are going to have to search for used cars on eBay and
keep them as spares, and have them as donor cars, as they call them.
Realise that now pretty much Nero, Phase-On, and Big Rock, Nero Big Rock are collector's pieces. So if you've got one, then look after it.
Yeah, well, I've got my Phase-On over here, so that's I'm taking that one to the grave. So
yeah, exactly.
That one's going to stay with me.
Exactly that, yeah.
All right, so with the Horizon taking over ARRMA, how do you foresee the future of ARRMA in the next 12 to 24 months' time, or even beyond that? So I know we touched on how Horizon took over ARRMA and how it was good, but how is it going to impact the brand?
Epic.
Epic?
It's going to be epic 18 months or 2 years, I think was your question.
Okay, good.
Yeah, because whilst we couldn't move forward with project tooling because there was still being all the financial things sorted out. So we had about 4 or 5 months where all we could do really was design.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't move forward with tooling. We could do a bit of testing, but we couldn't get parts. We couldn't get new samples from factories because the factory didn't know who they were dealing with and all this kind of stuff. So we've got quite the backlog of designs coming through now.
Oh, nice. That's all. I think there's going to be a lot of people out there rubbing their hands vigorously, just as I am waiting anxiously to see what you guys bring out.
I think what should be happening is people that are now ARRMA fans and they've got a whole stable of cars, they perhaps need to be eBaying their older cars so they get some cash ready for what's coming out.
What's coming up.
Yeah, exactly that. So you see some of those cars behind you, Vaz. They need to start selling some of those off, mate. And,
I know. I should probably
get yourself ready.
So now with this is also a viewer question as well. With Horizon taken over, Horizon are known obviously to have AVC in a lot of their vehicles. Mainly their top end vehicles, not so much the cheaper ones.
Yeah.
So is there any plans for AVC to be implemented in the ARRMA cars at all?
Where necessary. It's a great system. Really good with two-wheel drive, really good where the traction's low. It's not probably the best in a stunt vehicle where you want the car to do really extreme things because AVC will try to sort of take over and make corrections. Depending on how you've got it set up and such like. But where it warrants it and where it adds to the experience. I don't think you're not going to see AVC across everything, but where it works. So we'll migrate over to Spectrum Radio as with the new releases as they go. We've had a little bit of input into some of the the RTR level radios under Spectrum, so we've been able to request tweaks to some things on those to make the driving feel a little bit better. But in the whole, Spectrum is a big advantage to ARRMA going forward. They've got really good engineers over there that are going to bring things to the table, bring things to the
Okay.
party, or whatever analogy you want, that is going to help the ARRMA brand going forward. We're not 100% there yet, but over the next year to 18 months, then things are going to really start to, kick into gear with that.
Kicking together, yeah, because that was going to be my next question as well in regards to the Tactic radios. I mean, I've made it no secret that I'm a big fan of those radios. For a ready-to-run radio, they do feel fantastic. They're a very ergonomical design, very clean, and they're well balanced, and they've got the foam wheels. They work well. But obviously now we're going to be switching over to Spectrum, which was going to be my next question. So you've answered that. Now,
so the first event we did on there for their STX2, for example, was we asked that the throttle spring tension was increased a bit, and the steer wheel tension was reduced a little bit, because we felt that for our high powered vehicles, the really soft trip was not really matching the vehicle performance, and then the steering was a little bit firm about the centre. I mean, these are just subtle comments, but we've progressed those through, and they'll be in our cars when we switch over, when we migrate over. So we're already having it's a two-way relationship.
Yes.
We're the surface experts. I mean, there's a lot of surface people, but we'll bring our perspective to the Spectrum brand, and obviously Spectrum bring a lot of know-how and ideas to the table that we can buzz off and really get going with.
Yeah,
it'll be good. It'll be good.
No, I think it'll be very good, because I mean, one of my fears was obviously with those STX2 radios. I've worked with them before. I've used them before. I've never really liked the feel of them, but now that you've sort of said that they're going to be a little bit different, I do look forward to getting my hands on one. The other thing that is going to be very good as well is I also have a Spectrum DX5C, which is a multi-model memory radio. So these cars now coming in with Spectrum receivers, that's going to be a win for me straight away, because I can just bind directly to that radio and have full control of endpoints and dual rates and you name it, expos and all that sort of stuff will be fantastic to see. So very good.
It's going to be good.
Now, this is another viewer question as well in regards to Horizon. Will they have any input or influence into the design of the ARRMA cars? I mean, obviously, you get the Spectrum radios going in and so forth, but do they have a voice on the design of the cars, or is that solely just you and your team?
We'll have the final say on that, but we listen to good ideas from anywhere. I think we've already mentioned this. We listen to social media, we listen to users. Like I said, Spectrum guys will have good ideas. There's a lot of passionate RC people at Horizon that will bring good ideas. The thing is, we then have to weed through those ideas and work out which ones offer the benefits to the consumers. And that's whether, it's a design meeting here or whether it's ideas from social media or from Horizon. It doesn't mean you can't put every idea into a car.
Yeah, of course.
Because one idea might be make it lighter, another might be make it stronger. So those two clash. So then we have to come up with a compromise between the two, and that's the same with all ideas wherever they come from. So yeah, Horizon will have input, but we're not going to be in a situation where Horizon suddenly start telling ARRMA how to design cars.
Yeah. I think that question from the viewer kind of comes from, they might be a little bit worried that everything starts to look like the low-C cars, or you start swerving everything towards more racing aspect as opposed to maintaining your bashing.
No, I think we had a lot of those conversations right after the acquisition, and making sure that ARRMA keeps its brand identity and values, and LOSI keeps its brand identity and values, and so does Axial. And then there's ECX as well, which is on the kind of the more beginner end of the market.
Yeah.
So you'll see ARRMA's all about tough and bashing and speed and excitement and value for money. LOSI's all about race derived. I mean, they've been around 35 odd years, and they've won a whole lot of races, and they know what they're doing when it comes to racing. So they can focus on that. and Axial have got a huge following, and they can focus on their side of things as well. So
Yeah.
it's good.
No, that's
we'll keep our brand identity. We'll keep our brand identity as will Losi.
no, fine. And last question regarding any sort of mods that Horizon will have. Some of the tent scales, like the Typhon 3S that I got recently, that came with the EC5 connectors. So I suppose this is just a quick question anyway. It's fair to say that pretty much all of the ARRMA cars in the future will start coming out with EC5s.
Yeah, well, actually, there's Horizon have just started with this Smart Hobby initiative where they made an IC5 connector, which is backwards compatible with the EC.
Yep.
And it's got an IC3 and IC5. And yes, we'll be migrating over to that. And Horizon have got, like I say, this smart technology where the charger will speak to the battery, and you'll be able to keep log of how many cycles the batteries have had. And in future, there'll be smart technology in ESCs that will also talk to the batteries and the chart, and that kind of thing. So there's a whole initiative there that will benefit.
Oh, that's really cool.
Going forward.
Yeah. Will there still be a couple of spare connectors for the batteries included in the cars?
I don't think so, because they're so widely available.
Okay.
I mean, we did the XT90s back in the day when there really weren't too many XT90s around, and now things have become really pretty available. And the same with the IC connectors.
Yeah.
They've been in deep for
I've seen a lot of people switch pretty much their entire fleet to XT90s now because of the switch from the Deans or the T connector style. They start to see the improvements in using a connector like an XT90, and it's just the whole fleet is now like that, which is really kind of encouraging to see.
And the IC5 is much easier to solder, so they have a shroud on there, so that you can actually solder them up a lot easier. That was always a criticism with the EC connectors.
Yeah.
I think there'll be adapters available. I mean, the actual connector part of an IC5 and an XT90 are pretty much identical. So the performance-wise, there's no negative aspect of having a bridging connector between.
No, I think it's going to be a win for everyone on that one.
Yeah, long term. Obviously, people are going to have to change over, on
one or the other. Yeah, they'll have to change one or the other. Now, going into... This is one of the longer questions that I'm going to be asking you, so sit back and enjoy. The Notorious Stunt Truck was released recently, and it kind of stirred the pot a little inside the ARRMA Facebook groups. There was a teaser before the trailer of the truck dropped on YouTube, and a lot of people assumed that ARRMA was about to release a new product. But it was essentially an outcast with a different body. Of course, the internet was outraged as they were led to believe that it was going to be something totally different. But this is nothing new and has been done for a long time, even way back before ARRMA was around. And what I'm referring to there is, people or companies using an existing chassis to put different bodies on and call it something else. I'm curious to know, though, what are your thoughts on the RC industry making it a standard to take an existing chassis, change the body, and call it something different or a new product? And at what point do you think a product should be labeled as new when it's based on an existing platform, if there is such a point?
Okay. I'll take the last one first.
Okay.
Yeah, people have done this forever. Tamiya have had a whole range of touring cars with Ferrari bodies and Audi touring cars and all sorts of things on there. And of course, an Audi is different to a Ferrari, so they call it new.
Yeah.
And that's been done. So, and I think there's always going to be companies that do that. What we've taken the approach of with ARRMA is more to, instead of having one car with 6 colours, which a lot of people also do, so there's 2 trains of thought. You have one chassis and a multitude of different scale-looking vehicles, or there's one vehicle available in 6 different colours. What ARRMA's tried to do is offer unique vehicles, so that that are set up differently in terms of the suspension setup, the body shell look, the wheels and tyre package, that are significantly different in the way that they make the car drive. So a Kraton and an Outcast drive significantly differently, even though they share a lot of the same parts. And then a Typhon drives considerably differently again, even though it shares a lot of parts. So we've tried, instead of just to bang out different colour versions of the same car or same car with different bodies, we've tried to offer a product that has a unique driving feel. Right. That's been the philosophy. However, we did, I think, get it wrong on the Notorious in the following ways. The Outcast was a massive hit. Everybody loved it, and there was a ton of them out there, and they all had the same coloured body shell. And so therefore, the problem is you get to the point where there's too many of the same vehicles out there. So we quickly launched a different colour version, the orange version.
Which was voted for by people on social media, I believe.
Exactly, yeah. So and again, that's new, but it's not new. It's when you launch it and it's new on the market, it's a new product because it's a different colour, but it isn't. Everybody understands that that's just a different colour, so nobody moans about that. Then we decided that rather than having the kind of the 70s resto mod body that is the Outcast, perhaps we should try like a 50s resto mod with a much more curved body shell. Yeah, like that. And it looks completely different to the Outcast, and in that respect, it's new in terms of it's a new styling that nobody's seen on the market. The Outcast was completely new. Nobody had seen anything like that before, and I think that's what caught a lot of people's attention, plus the way it drove, of course. So what we wanted to do was to offer a new style for a stunt truck.
Yeah.
However, it should have come out onto the market quite quickly after the Outcast, but because of the various financial constraints under Hobbyco and then the bankruptcy and all this kind of stuff, it came out a long time after.
Yeah.
So I think the outrage in the marketplace was partly because we'd starved the market of new releases.
Yeah.
So therefore, there was this passion around the brand that wasn't being fulfilled. So people were expecting, fifth scales, and they were expecting, whatever's on their wish list was the thing at the forefront of their mind, and they were all excited about whatever floated their boat, kind of thing. And then what we did wrong was when the Notorious came to being released, we did the normal thing where we do a bit of a sneak peek, and we showed the new look.
Yeah.
And then everybody goes wild, speculating what it might be. Now, in hindsight, what we should have done is made it a bit more clear that this was off an existing platform, and it wasn't all new, but it was a new look and a new feel, a new style. So yeah, in terms of style, it's new. In terms of look, there's no other 50s resto mod vehicle out there that I can see.
Yeah.
So in that case, it's new. However, we hyped it up too much.
Yeah.
So what we did with the Big Rock 3S is we made sure that there was images of the chassis in the sneak peek, so that people wouldn't think that it was a fifth scale Big Rock or a replacement scale Big Rock. Although many people still seem to think that it was. And then for the Typhon 3S, that was coming so late in the year with ports delays and all that because of Trump's tariffs and stuff. We didn't know whether the product was actually going to get to the market in time before Christmas.
Yeah.
So we basically left that until it was in the warehouse before we went live with that one. So yeah, I think it was a little bit, the expectation was overly amped up because of the starvation in the market from ARRMA. I think it's partly because we didn't sit back and think, oh well, people might take this the wrong way.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've learned from those things, so hopefully we won't we won't make that mistake again. It might mean that people don't get advanced viewing of some of our vehicles. They might just get told when they're available.
Yeah.
But we'll go live with the gig site so people can really read through everything and understand everything about a product. But it just might not be so much hype building before a product comes out.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Well, this you've learned, so that's okay. That's a good thing.
Yeah, you have to live and learn, don't you?
Well, that's right.
Well, I think that's the reason why we're here. You know, we've said earlier, you watch what people do, you watch the reactions. You have to put your hand up and say, yeah, we can do that better next time, and then do that.
Yeah. Yeah, the same way you have to, you can. It's very easy to sort of put your hand up and say, "Yep, I did that" in a positive way, like claim fame to having a good product. You also have to own the little mistakes and the little mishaps that happens. That's also
Yeah, exactly that.